And you know, Willie, it's going to be a heck of a battle in 2020. Gallup put out a list of polls, how Donald Trump was doing in states, and he's in the low 40s in several important swing states.
Yeah, check this out. This is from Gallup. President Trump's state-by-state approval slightly improved from last year. Based on data from the Gallup tracking poll, 17 states gave President Trump ratings of 50% or higher. That's better than just 12 of them in 2017. 16 states rated him below 40%, one fewer than the year before. But the states where Trump is popular are far less populated than where he is chronically unpopular, if that makes sense. Judging by their weight in the Electoral College, there are just 102 electoral votes in the 17 states where his approval is above 50%. While there are 201 electoral votes in the 16 states where his approval is below 40%. Yet Trump's approval remained above 40% in every swing state he carried in 2016. And then there are the numbers in Texas, where the president's approval was 41% last year, 52% disapproved. That's a negative net rating of 11 points. Lanhee, what do those numbers tell you as the president rolls into campaign season already with a growing field of Democrats looking to take his job?
Well, you know, the challenge right now is that the Democratic field is still so amorphous. You've got so many different candidates that it's very difficult to define exactly what these numbers mean at this point. What we do know is that this election is going to come down largely as the map did in 2016 to those same states where the president won by very small margins, and his path to victory is going to be very similar in 20 as it was in 16. And the question is going to be, can there be a Democratic nominee that can speak to some of these voters in these swing states and really make the case around whether it's Elizabeth Warren's rigged economy or Bernie Sanders, if he chooses to talk about the Green New Deal, and other candidates kind of moving in that same direction. The question is going to be, can they make the contrast with the president? I agree, it's not going to be enough to simply say, look, the president's a bad guy, we don't like the president. People's views of the president are baked, as you see from a lot of this polling. Really, the question is, what's the alternative going to look like? And that's where I think the Democratic nominee can distinguish herself or himself.
That is what's so critical, Willie. But again, let's look at those states, those numbers that you put up. Again, Texas, the president sitting at 41%. Yeah. You look at Wisconsin, he's in the low 40s. You look at Michigan, he's in the low 40s. He's sitting at 42 in Pennsylvania, 42 in Michigan, 42 in Wisconsin, only 43 in Arizona, 43 in Florida, and again, last year sitting at 41% in the state of Texas, a state that Ted Cruz only won by 3 points.
Well, I was going to say, Beto proved that a Democrat can do well and almost flip it just a couple of months ago. We'll see if Texas is ready on the presidential level when that comes up in a year and a half or so. But Senator McCaskill, you're the perfect person to talk about what can win in 2020, because you're the kind of Democrat who's had to talk to conservatives, who had to talk to Republicans to win statewide in Missouri. What would you tell this growing field of candidates about winning back places like Michigan and Wisconsin and going into Ohio and being more competitive?
Well, the thing is, it's not so much you need to abandon any kind of progressive principles. That's not the point. The point is to reassure those folks in the middle that you get it, that you get what they're upset about. That, I mean, frankly, most of them aren't really sure what the new Green Deal is. And, you know, everybody wants to do more as it relates to the environment. We do know that is a real emergency. But the point is, they're really worried about whether or not they can afford to retire. They're really worried about whether their nephew can afford his insulin. This is stuff that is the kitchen table stuff. If candidates begin to speak to that, even while they're going after the base of the Democratic Party in a primary, they're going to be much better equipped to move into Ohio and Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania and Texas, because as you looked at those electoral votes, you know, there was 70 short. Yeah. So you've got to win some of the states where he's between 45 and 50 or 42 and 45. That's going to mean speaking to people that don't necessarily call themselves Democrats.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.